Elevation Nation. I didn't know where our next elevator was going to be joining us from because every time I hop on Instagram, she is in another beautiful country, living her best life, traveling around the world, and dare I say, redesigning her own life and lifestyle. We have on the founder of Lifestyle Redesign, Sam Evans, talking to us today from, I'm going to say, mere Boston, even though Boston's one of my favorite cities in the U.S., but you are stateside for the holidays. We are so excited to have you and welcome you as the newest elevator, 151, to Elevation
Wow.
Nation. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm in Boston right now for the holidays, but not for long.
Not for long. Where are you going? What's next?
In January, I'll be in Costa Rica, then February is Mexico.
And then what?
And then we'll see. We'll see what from there.
Do you know how long you're going for?
Yeah, so January I'll be there for like 2 weeks. There's
Costa
like
Rica.
yeah, in Costa Rica there's like influencer slash travel content creator trip in San Jose, and then in Mexico, in Tulum, there's a travel creator conference. So I'll be speaking at that, and then we like extended our trip, so we'll basically be there for the month of February.
Wow. Is Stone going to that,
So, yeah.
Sam? Is that what? Stone's going to
One of
No,
our-
he's going to
Yeah,
Guatemala.
He's going to Guatemala. We just had on a
Okay.
new Elevator 150 is also a kind of entrepreneur solo traveler, so we'll have to connect you guys. But lots of
Yeah.
amazing countries in the world. Parker and I are going to Colombia end of
Okay,
January.
okay.
We are very excited for that trip
we are
together.
not. That is
Influencers?
a anti-work week.
Okay, good.
We are fully embracing the non-work. We are gonna just do so many fun things. It's actually my
was that
bachelor
like
party.
I was gonna say, was that like a last
Yeah.
minute Colombia
No.
situation? Okay.
It's been planned for how many months now, Sam? 3 months?
Yeah,
Something like
we've
that.
been doing a lot of planning. We'll have your little bachelor party and
Little.
Yeah.
make
Yeah,
some
okay.
memories. Well, you
Little
made
in
it a big
Colombia.
one. It's a big one.
Sam, I guess we got both Sams here. So Sam, when I say Sam, I'll
Yeah.
just say Panitch for Panitch, Sam for Sam.
Got it.
It is Elevation Nation. I love that what you're about. I love your vibe. I love that you're traveling. Sam and I
Thank you,
love to
thank you.
travel. We'll talk plenty about travel, but Elevation Nation needs to know a little bit more about who you are. So we like to start it off every episode with an elevator pitch. Who are you, Sam Evans?
Okay. That is a great question. And honestly, it changes for me all the time. Honestly, I change my introduction based on who I'm talking to. So that's like a good little tip. It's like whoever you're talking to, you can kind of like change up who you are. But for Elevation Nation, I am the founder of Lifestyle Redesigned, like Sam had mentioned, which is a media company slash blog slash we offer services for like travel creators as well as small businesses, things like that. I also host my own podcast called Lifestyle Redesigned, and then I am a solo traveler and content creator. So I work with different brands across the world to create content for their pages as well as mine. So, yeah,
AKA
that's me.
living the dream life that many young adults listening to this are like, wow, I want to do that. And so
Yeah, I
we're
don't
going to
really
dive
know.
into it.
I don't know how I got here, if I'm being completely honest. Like, you just kind of end up doing something after you graduate college, and like, yeah, I don't know how I ended up here, but it's been pretty cool so far.
Well, we're going to dive into that because I think you do, and maybe we just need to get it out of you a little bit. What did you want to be post-college, right? Like you go to college, everyone thinks you're going to get
Yeah.
a degree. Did you have dreams to have a normal job at some point, and then they kind of shifted?
Yes and no. I mean, I consider myself like super multifaceted. So like I have like 5 or 10 different Sams that I could like picture myself as. Like this is just one version of myself right now. And I did see myself going the corporate route when I was in high school. I mean, like that's also what I was told was like the best way to make money and what everyone else was doing and stuff. So I went to school in Massachusetts, actually. And then I transferred to a school in Florida. And they had connections with the Miami Marlins and Miami Dolphins. So I was like, oh, I'll go down that route and do like sports management, event management, something like that. And so I had an internship with the Miami Marlins and I was like all into it. Like my dad, of course, was so excited I was getting into sports and stuff. And then I went down like the event route in terms of the sporting industry. And I did another internship doing event management, and it was like super overwhelming. Like, it's not like going to an event because you're the one planning it. So you have to worry about, all these different like logistics and things like that. So I actually decided against going into events just because of how stressful it was. But I was like my last semester of college, so I kind of had to finish my degree. And yeah, I finished with event and sports, recreational management, um, and a minor in psychology. And then, yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do, if I'm being honest. Like, I graduated and I'm like, okay, so my last internship was like super overwhelming and kind of destroyed the dream of going into events. So I didn't know what there was out there for me. So then, I started freelancing, things like that. I started posting on social media and it kind of just like took off from there. Yeah. Like
Sometimes
I
it's
said, like
crazy
I
how
don't
we like
know, like
stumble
right.
into where we're supposed to be. I mean, like Parker and I didn't have a dream of having a podcast at any
Right.
point, but we're here and we love it. And
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
No, you just had a
exactly.
dream hanging more with me.
that's
That
true.
was
Every day,
Right.
man, I get
yeah,
to talk
that,
to
like,
you.
and you brought that to life. You're like, way to do that through podcast, right? Is that right, Sam?
Yeah. Right.
Fair enough. So, Sam, how long have you been out of college for doing this?
So I graduated in 2022. So a year and a half out of
Oh,
school.
wow. And you've been full on freelancing, traveling since you graduated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
Like I've never had like a real job, you could say. So it's
that's
kind
gotta
of
be
weird.
tough.
Like
As amazing as it is, right? Like, I know we
Yeah.
talk about on the podcast plenty, Sam Panitch, how, social media creates this world that you want to, everything's kind of going well. And I think with Elevation Nation, we're almost 300 episodes into this thing. What we're trying to do is peel back a little bit of what goes behind all of the stuff that you see. So I can imagine, Sam, with all the amazing travel and experiences that you've had, it's been probably, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but it has to be, bring a little bit of anxiety and struggle as well.
Yeah, it's a mix of emotions every single day, I would say. The question that I get asked the most is about like stability and how I feel about like every single month, basically, not really knowing in terms of income. I mean, right now, the reason why I set my business up the way I did was so that way I could offer services like social media management and PR stuff to different companies. But also under that business, I offer like partnerships, collaborations as a content creator. So I have like some sort of steady income as a freelancer, like working for a couple different companies. But then I also have like the content creator side, which is like very much like whenever they want, basically. So yeah, the instability side is very like anxiety inducing. But also like I'm young right now and like I don't necessarily need anything super stable. So I'm kind of like taking advantage of the fact that I don't have too many bills to pay and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to like live this out as as long as I can, hopefully building it up to something more full time.
So we've talked to a few like solo entrepreneurs and folks that are traveling, and they all kind of follow a very similar model to you, Sam, which is like try to get some clients that are steady, have some brand partnerships that'll pay for some more things. And I'm just curious, like this is just me being curious about how this actually works. Is it like, okay, this company will pay for me to come on this trip or pay for part of it, or I can get these two companies in Costa Rica to pay for the hotel and then this company will pay for my flight? Like, how does it actually work in terms of you looking at your bank account and being like, okay, if I have X amount of dollars and these deals, like I can now go on another trip? Is it like recouping your fund up and then going on? Like, how do you actually think through some of the like personal
Yeah.
finances behind it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. At first I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know like how I had no idea how it worked. Like I just had to try certain things. And so it really depends on the creator. So if we're talking about the content creation side, payments come in like all different forms. So there's earned media and paid media. Basically, for me as like considered a micro influencer, a lot of my trips are earned media, which means they'll pay for my flight and they'll pay for my hotel, but they won't pay me. So like I basically get like a free vacation, which is awesome, but like there's also not income coming in from that side. For me, I'm really like leaning into that now to build my portfolio to pitch paid collaborations. So a lot of that looks like restaurants will pay for content. Hotels, it's like the leverage is a little different because they can offer you the free stay, which I mean, if you're staying 3 or 4 nights at a 4-star hotel, it's a couple $100s a night. Like that's a decent amount that they're kind of already like giving you, I guess. So in that sense, a lot of micro influencers get paid through just like exchanges essentially. And then the paid collaborations, how that works is they'll pay you for your content. So if you're an influencer with a lot of influence on your social media following, then they'll pay you to put your content on your page. If you don't have that many followers, but you have really good content, they'll pay you to put your content on their page to kind of show off their like offerings and things like that. So from personal finance, it's been really hard in the content creator space to get to a point of full-time income, which is why a lot of people go the route of like managing a couple people's social media and then being able to work with different brands as the creator themselves.
So you're like
So, yeah.
immersing yourself into these companies, while you're building up your own personal social media accounts, you're working with these brands, a restaurant. Hey, like I'm putting the camera on me, but they're putting it on their accounts, and you're the person
Right.
who's creating that media for them, helping them think through that, bringing a new perspective. Huh, that's really interesting.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure that's exhilarating when someone says, hey, like, I'm going to Costa Rica, and now you know you're going to be there. So I assume that you're trying to find ways to either, collab or get in touch with certain individuals in the places that you're going. Is that right?
Exactly. And now I essentially look at every trip as like a business expense. So like, for example, Mexico, which I had mentioned, I'm going in February for a conference. That's like one weekend. However, I reached out to a couple different hotels and Airbnbs to create content for them. So now I'm able to stay there for like 2 or 3 weeks because I'm creating content for them in exchange for being able to stay at their place. So like every trip that I go on, I essentially look at it like, how can I expense this, basically? That's the workaround.
Sounds a little like the consulting lifestyle.
Yeah, right.
What can we expense? What trips are we going on? But I think like obviously you've started to develop a little bit of the strategy in terms of how can this pay for my lifestyle, but it's more than just that. Like you don't want to be necessarily paycheck to trip. You want to be paycheck to trip with some investing and some, investing in your future, some in your company, some
Right.
in podcasting equipment, right? Like, and so getting to that point, I'm sure is just getting bigger, working with larger brands and slowly scaling, which to your other point, like the fact that you just graduated and you're doing this is absolutely nuts. Like
Yeah.
in 5
Thank
years,
you.
you're going to have your own 401k working like on top of all these amazing trips. So
I hope so.
it's just incredible. So you should be really proud of yourself.
Thank you.
Of course. So I want to ask you a little bit more about deciding to not go into the corporate lifestyle, right? We kind of heard your path and where you were potentially headed and how you ended up here. What was it like talking to your parents? Your dad got excited you were about to go get him free tickets to the Marlins,
Yeah,
the Dolphins,
right.
and then he's like, oh my God, my daughter's just going to be flying around the world. What's going on here?
Right.
How did those conversations kind of work?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting, but it was almost like expected from my parents. So like I just haven't been the like person that goes down the normal path, you know? So like I've changed my major like 4 times. I transferred schools twice. I've been doing all of these different things. I'm in and out of jobs, like not because I'm getting fired, but because like I get bored very quickly and I'm like, okay, I need something new. I need something more fun, more friends, more this, more that, more money. And so when I had told my parents that like, hey, I want to try this thing, like if it works, great. If it doesn't, like at least I kind of have like corporate life to fall back on, you know? And it's like that's kind of what sold them was like this isn't necessarily me giving up on all like corporate world and like real job and real income and having my parents pay for everything. It's like this is just how I want to build my income in a different way. So I like pitched it to them that way. Like, hey, this is how I kind of want to like do things for now. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then I'll figure it out then, you know.
I was talking with a different elevator because he called me asking for some advice because he wants to go start his own company and he's about to graduate. And he's like, my parents just, they're not understanding. They don't really get it. They're not wrapping their heads around it. And so I said, dude, take a step back. Like, what do your parents actually want? They want you to be happy. Yeah. They want you to be healthy, and they want you to be financially secure. And I was like, how can you prove to them that what you're going to build can hit on those 3 things more than what a corporate job can? And he's like, I never thought of it in that way. And I think you're smart. You did. Like, you have to tee it up that way. It's not like, Mom, Dad, I just want to go like F around and travel the world. It's, right. This is a different way for me to build my personal brand, a company, the life I want to live that'll make me happy and keep me financially stable. So yeah, just like kudos to you for being like 22 and realizing that that's how you have to spin it. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. I will say to that, the hardest part was the fact that my parents aren't entrepreneurs. So they were kind of like, well, how are you even gonna like do that? You know, like they weren't even the people that I could go to for advice or for help or for like basically they were scared that they wouldn't be able to help me. You know what I mean? And it's like, like their fear was almost like pushed onto me of like, oh my God, how am I going to start a business? Like, I don't know anything about this. Thank God for TikTok and Google and YouTube and stuff, and podcasts and everything. But yeah, I'll say like, if your parents aren't entrepreneurs and you're trying to go down this route, it's a lot harder.
I think it's so interesting if you have maybe one of your parents listening, Sam, or Panitch, one of your parents listening, or one of mine, or anyone over the, maybe age of 40, 45, not calling out older people, but what I am saying is you just said that you could look at TikTok, YouTube, Google, and Twitter or whatever. I'm just throwing that out there. 20 years ago, people were like, how am I going to learn about starting a business, entrepreneurship? Right. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to open a textbook. I might talk to someone else who has done it. The world is completely changed, and the story that is written into the world of go to college, go to high school, go to college, get a corporate job, that is so not the path that many young adults take today. And I do believe it is because people are educating themselves in different ways. They're feeling more connected to other people doing things that aren't the norm. And now the norm is becoming abnormal to what the norm was. Yeah. Because there's so many people doing what you're doing, Sam. Sam, Panitch, and I have met so many entrepreneurs. Most of the people we have on today are entrepreneurs, people who are living the way they want to live. Mm-hmm. And building businesses the way they want to build, and saying corporate, that's not for me. So I'm going to do it on my own time.
Well, how are you guys, like, what is your guys' opinions on, like, you guys are kind of living both right now. Like, you're in the corporate world, but you're also doing this Elevation Nation, trying to build it up and going to speaking at different schools and things like that, which is awesome. Do you guys see yourself, like, are you guys waiting for Elevation Nation to be more of a stable income before you potentially leave your jobs, or do you guys want to do both?
Gosh, what a
Whoever
question.
Wants to answer it, right?
This is about to be one of our strategy sessions now.
Yeah.
Elevation Nation has kind of grown and evolved as it's moved with Parker and I. And we joke why did we start a podcast? Like, we could have picked any product that we could actually physically sell and develop and go to market, and then we'll know when we failed. Like, it either sells and you do well, or the company goes out of business. And because we've been doing this as more of a passion, where we speak for free, and, we have the podcast and we're meeting amazing people, and we have coaching and workbooks and all these things. It's like, there's no way to really tell if and when we're being as successful as we necessarily want to be. And that's what's been really difficult for us, which is, I don't ever want to stop doing the podcast because I get to meet really cool people like you, who I'll now consider a friend. And when I want like travel tips or advice, or we want to meet up, like, now I have another cool person in my network. But to your point, it's like, when would and how would we do this full time? And is Elevation Nation the idea that Parker and I are going to go full time on? So that was a roundabout answer of saying I have no effing idea.
Yeah.
Which is hard, which sucks. I wish I did.
I've thought about this a lot. Like the idea of, quitting my job to go do this full time. I honestly see what Sam and I are doing with Elevation Nation and what I do for work, my 9 to 5, right? It all kind of comes together into the same thing. It's how I'm spending my time, and they're aligned so well on how I want to build my brand. Elevation Nation is an extension of who I am and what the world sees Parker Yablon as. My job as a consultant, it's the same thing, right? I get paid for showing up for a set amount of hours to do my job. It's how I'm spending my time, right? And so when I bring them together, it's nice, but it's challenging because I have to spend time in 2 different buckets. Whereas, yes, there's a world where it probably makes more sense to spend all your time on one or the other. But where I'm at right now, and I think what's worked for Sam too, is that we both see this as an extension of our brand that is both helping us in our current job, that like in the corporate world, but then outside of that too. And we'll know when the time is right. We'll know when it's ready to move on, whether it's something in consulting or something with Elevation Nation or speaking, because I don't think there's like a written way to do it. We think there is. You kind of just have to go and try and fail and learn and do it all over until something makes sense.
Yeah.
That's life.
No, that's what I was saying, where like I meant, I don't even know how I got here, because it's like I didn't plan on, quitting my corporate dreams and kind of going into this entrepreneur travel route, but like you just kind of figure out a way to do it.
I think Sam and I right now are like, we're both, I think, doing a really good job in our corporate role, which is making it maybe a little bit more difficult to say like we're going all in on Elevation Nation.
Right.
But then at the same time, you could say the opposite way. It's like we're doing really well with Elevation Nation, and then so I guess it's just like throwing all the darts. Sam and I are like, we're willing to throw the darts. Some are going to stick, some are not. Yes, we're giving up a lot of our time, but we're 28 years old. Yeah. This is early. We're early in the game. Like Sam, when we had that conversation this summer, when we were at the treehouse, we were saying like, when you really take a step back and realize how early in the game we are as young people, it gives you perspective, because we think that like we're so far in the rat race, there's not enough time. There's so much time. You just got to stay in the game.
Right. I just saw a video, actually. This girl was like, for anybody that is like wondering if life ends at 27, like it doesn't. I met my 2 best friends when I was 30. I met my husband at 31, my dream job at 32. And it's like, for me, that's like, 9 years away now, 8 years away, I think. So it's like, you think, okay, at 25, oh my God, like my life is over. I need to have it all together. 30 hits. You're like, oh my God, I need to have it all together. And like something I'm learning from doing my podcast too is like, no one really ever has it fully together. And it's kind of like you just figure it out like as you go.
One more point to make, Sam, before you jump in, Panitch. This is a challenge that young people always deal with. And Sam and I have, like, we've talked with so many people about this. You are wired in America. You go and you have your K through 12. You have a start and an end. You have a class that has a test, and when you take the test, it's done. The school year is over in June, right? And we are wired that until we graduate college, that is the way life is. There's a start and an end. And to your point, Sam, it's like, oh my God, like, when does it end? No.
Right.
It ends when you're done. When
Right.
life is, yeah, exactly. But we think that there's a start to an end to the work. We think that
Yeah.
there's a start to end to a job or whatever. No. You're just getting started. There's so much time. And it's a harsh reminder sometimes where you're like, wow, like I'm only 28, but I'm only here. Like, give yourself some credit. Sam, you're traveling the world right now doing what you want to do. Sam is a manager at his job, got a podcast with 300 people, and he's coming to Columbia with me. He's got to be pretty happy about that.
Right,
exactly, right?
It is tough, though. I mean, you guys are both right. But I would be lying if I said I don't always compare myself to all these amazing people like yourself, Sam, who built a business and now is traveling the world. Yeah. Like a lot of our other elevators who are kicking ass and doing incredible things and getting millions of dollars in funding and right? And Parker and I keep going like, why not us? Yeah. But again, like, we're being patient. We know it's a long game. And I think one of the things that we're trying to do, I don't know if this will pay off karma-wise in the long run, but it's like, just be a good person. Try to do things because you genuinely like want to meet someone like yourself, Sam, and like want to help other young people realize that life is hard and you're not alone, and you can listen to us and we'll hopefully make you feel better. And if you want to learn how to travel, that's why we're bringing on Sam, so you can learn. It's like, if we try to just put that ahead of making money, quitting our jobs, doing whatever, like, it will all work out. We're going to meet the people. Parker always likes to say, you have no idea who we're going to meet that's going to change our life forever. And so if we just keep putting ourselves in the conversations in the room, like, something cool is really going to happen. And that's kind of our plan.
Exactly.
Thanks for diverting us down this road. I love it.
Yeah, right. To that point, like, for anybody that's listening that is like, I compare myself to people who are now traveling the world. I'm stuck in this corporate 9-to-5 type of thing. I'm traveling the world and I'm still sitting around being like, why did I not go to that country? Or like, why is my business not like as profitable as I wanted it to be? You know, why am I not at this follower count or this? Like, no matter what you're doing or how much money is in your bank account or anything, like, there's always someone else that is like doing something better than you or more than you or what you want to be doing. And I think that, like, making sure that your perspective is like, okay, it's not really always about comparing yourself, because that's like the worst thing that you can do is like always compare yourself, because then you'll never actually, like Parker said, like, give yourself enough credit for how far you've even come. And
there's a remedy to help with that thoughts, those fears, those thoughts. And Sam and I, we call that mental fortitude. People with mental fortitude can get out of those thoughts, can get out of those feelings and continue to build and get and live the life they want to live. So let me break that down for you, Sam. Mental fortitude to us, Sam, Panitch, and I, we've studied people, we've studied mental fortitude, we've had many, many conversations. We think mental fortitude comes down to three things. Simply knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and knowing what inspires you. And when you do the dirty work, the hard work, to understand those three things, when times get tough, you can rely on your mental fortitude because you know who you are. You know what you bring to the table. You know what you don't bring to the table. You know the goals that you have in your life and where you want to go, and you know what inspires you. So when you get into the rut of comparing to people on social media, you're like, damn, I want to be there.
Right.
Dude, you've done the hard work. You know who you are. That's not for you.
Yeah.
That's not for me. I like that at the surface, but I know where I'm going. And so Sam and I are continually challenging ourselves to think about how we think about ourselves, our mental fortitude. And Sam, to you, I'm sure you've thought many, many times about where you want to go, who you are, what you bring to the table. And so what we're doing with Elevation Nation is continue to spread this idea of mental fortitude that, Sam, you're crushing it. And times are tough, but you know what? At the end of the day, if you know who you are, what you want, and what inspires you, you can continue to elevate and do whatever you freaking want.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I also think that instead of looking at comparison as like, you know, seeing everybody that's doing better than you and kind of like shitting on yourself, like get in the room with people who inspire you, or like make them your friend or something, you know what I mean? Where it's like, go, when I used to live in Chicago, I would like make sure that I was like the poorest one at the table, the like everyone was smarter than me, and it's like I started making more money as I was putting myself around people that were making more money than me, people that were doing things bigger than me. I started doing bigger things because it's like you always want to be in the room with people who are doing something better than you, so you're actually inspired by them, as opposed to like constantly doubting yourself by comparing yourself to them.
Start a podcast so you have a fake excuse to meet people way smarter, cooler, and richer than
Right.
you. Trust me, it works. Now we have really cool friends, and we get to push
Yeah.
ourselves every single day and elevate. But no, I think you're spot on, Sam. I love this mindset talk. I want to transition quickly to talk about something all three of us are super passionate about, which is travel and experiencing new cultures. Travel has been a huge part of my friendship with Parker. It is in my speech for his wedding. I talk about our travels together. We've been around the world, and obviously, Sam, it's very important to you. So I wanted to talk about travel and why you love it so much, and why you kind of have this bug to go to different countries and experience different cultures.
Yeah. So I will answer this question in a story form. My first solo trip was during COVID, when it was like when TikTok kind of first started blowing up and stuff, and I saw all of these people doing something called a work exchange. Had no idea what that was, but all I heard was like, you could stay at these resorts for free and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, let me look into this. So I'd never been to Colorado before, and this was like at the top of my list of places I wanted to go, especially in the winter. And I had applied for this job that was doing this work exchange program where you work either as like housekeeping or as a part of the restaurant or admin, whatever it was, whatever you wanted to apply for. In exchange, they would give you room and board. So I applied for all these ski resorts, didn't know how to ski or snowboard, let alone in Colorado. And I got the job, and I wasn't like, there was nothing holding me back here. So I went, and that was like my first time ever even like doing anything by myself, really. And at that point, I was like terrified, like didn't think I was going to make any friends, didn't think I was going to know anything. And I got there, and like, it was like the best 3 months of my life. Like that trip, my first trip, was one of the scariest but best times. I've learned so much. I've done so much. I'm still connected with the people that I worked with there. And that basically sparked like this bug, this travel bug of like going somewhere else and like impacting other people or making more friends. I felt like when I worked there, it was the first time that I had met people that understood like the new Sam as opposed to like the middle school and high school Sam. You know what I mean? So like when you're in middle school and high school, those friends are great. Like your hometown friends are great, but like as you grow up, you change, your interests change. You don't really want to talk about like middle school memories anymore. And so with these people, they knew me as like Sam the podcast host, Sam the person that wants to travel more, Sam the person that wants to start a business. And so all of these people were doing the exact same thing that I was. They were like, I want to try something new, I want to make new friends. And my hometown friends weren't really like, didn't have that same mindset. So it was like so refreshing and cool to meet people that actually understood this like crazy idea that I had to everybody at home. So then after I had gotten home from that trip, like I immediately just started looking up different ways I could travel, especially on a budget. Obviously I was still in school doing it online, so I had to figure that out. And then after that, I started going, and I was staying in hostels, and I was like volunteering in exchange for room and board, like finding a way to make it work with my budget at that time and with my bank account at that time, which wasn't very much. Going to places where the dollar is super strong is also a really good tip. But yeah, just making new friends and like experiencing places I've never experienced before was like the top reason then and now why I got into traveling, was because there's no other experience like it. Like traveling the world is something like you will not get that same feeling doing anything else.
I have a lot to say about that.
Go for
One,
it.
that's a sick story. Two,
Thanks.
I wish I knew about like this work exchange thing. Like what a cool way to meet amazing humans and just live your best life. And I think that's the creative thinking that allows you to be an entrepreneur and build the life and redesign, the life that you want to live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming up with different ways to make money, and travel being such a big part of that, and you knowing that you want to travel. It's like, all right, time to get creative. Like, your first experience with it was like, I'm gonna go do housekeeping and be a waitress at some ski resort. Like, what other ways can I make travel and my job work for me? And so that's why I'm really like love our generation of people. I hope Parker and I are still young enough that you'll consider us part of your generation, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Thanks. Yeah. Like, our generation, I think, just has this creative itch to come up with new ways to get the life that they want.
Yeah.
I'm going to give an extremely hilarious example, but I just started watching The Sopranos. I don't know if either of you watch it, but so in an episode I watched last night, he's pretty much Tony's talking about how, I wonder what my life would have been like if my dad wasn't in the mafia. I wonder if I would be selling lawn furniture in San Diego, is what he says, or something like that. And it's like, for so many years, everyone just did what their parents did, because that was the only exposure we had. It's like, your neighbor's a doctor, your dad's a businessman, your mom's a lawyer. Like, those are your options. Go to school, do your thing. And now TikTok opened up a world that maybe for kids that lived in Colorado, it was really common to get these work exchange programs. But like, if you weren't there, you never knew about them. And now, like, this whole world opens up, and then influencing opens up, and brand deals opens up. And it's like, well, you both hinted at it. There's so much power now in these little devices in our hands that I think it's really allowing a lot of people to redesign the life that they want.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's crazy that like a lot of people, their full-time like jobs now is influencing, like literally posting videos on TikTok. These brand deals are insane that I'm seeing. And it's like, you know, who would have thought even 2 or 3 years ago that would have been like someone's full-time job, you know? Even what I'm doing, like, that wasn't really a thing a couple years ago.
It's crazy. It's wild. I love it. All right, Sam, what's next for you? Like, obviously you're going to Mexico and Costa Rica. You said you don't know what you're doing after, but like, what do you envision if we had a conversation with you in 1 year? Like, where are you at?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that looking at myself like in January from now, so since it's been like this full year, it's like I didn't even picture myself, my business, my podcast being where it's at now. So I'm very excited for like a year from now to see what's gonna happen then. I definitely want to go more into like the speaking world, and the like my overall life goal is to inspire people. So whether that's like inspiring them to go on a flight by themselves because their friends can't take the time off, or whether it's to start a business or a podcast or whatever, or do it while they're young, like anything in that realm, like that is my ultimate goal. And that's why I even started all this and what kind of keeps me going. So I think definitely getting more speaking engagements, really going hard on the podcast and the business, and sort of like making my like content creation and podcast more full time, as opposed to doing like having clients and working in social media and things like that. I want to kind of do my own thing, and make that my full-time income. So in terms of next year, I'm hoping, to speak at a lot more conferences and a lot more like places and things, and really go hard on the podcast and the lifestyle redesign brand.
Well, you got two guys that will help you however we can on the podcast front.
Yeah, all right.
So however we can help you, you just say the word. But yeah, exciting stuff. I'm actually really excited. This is so nerdy of me, but I'm hyped to go home and not have work for a week and just reflect on this past year of like what I actually did, and then make goals for this upcoming year. Yeah. I feel like this year flew by. Obviously had a lot of ups and downs, and I want to take ample time to truly reflect on what happened. So I'm looking forward to
It's important to do that too, because it's like, if I asked you, all right, what did you accomplish this year? Like, you could probably give me like 2 or 3 things, maybe. Even me, like, where did I travel to, or what did I accomplish? But if you like look through your camera roll, even like from January to now, or like look at to your text messages or something, it's like, wait, I was here at this point, or like I did this, you know, like you kind of forget all of these like things that you should be really proud of yourself for.
100%. It's the first time I ever have done a journal every single day for an entire year. Like, I started this last year, And
Yeah.
it's not like what you did today, so it's not going to be that helpful in terms of my accomplishments, but I am
Right.
going to like look back and be like, it's essentially 365 days of just like self-reflection. So
Yeah.
I'm going to see like what the hell has happened in my brain,
Right.
I guess.
Right, exactly.
We'll find out. I'm still crazy.
Do you
so.
get to like wear like a badge now that you're a Stoic?
Yes, I
If
get
you
a
finish
Stoic.
the book,
Yeah, yes, I'm now a Greek philosopher, so you can address
Yeah.
me as such. Thanks,
is it
buddy.
going to put it like be on your LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's actually an accolade that I'm going to put on my LinkedIn.
Nah.
Greek philosopher
Like a badge, badge of honor.
Exactly.
I am a
Exactly.
Stoic because I did 365 days. I like it. I love it.
It's exactly
All right.
right. I have rapid fire questions, Parker.
Okay.
I think we're going to move
fine.
into that segment because
Oh,
I
here we
want
go.
to pepper both of you with these questions. So Parker knows what's going to happen. Sam, for you, we're going to ask a bunch of random questions. First thing that comes to your mind, you just tell us the quick answer. Ready?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
no
scared,
pressure.
but I'm ready. Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, right.
Okay. We all love to travel. What's the favorite city that you've visited?
Probably London,
Wow.
which is my
Okay.
most recent trip. Yeah.
Very recent. Cool. Parker,
Very
what about
recent.
you?
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to a place that doesn't have any cell service or Wi-Fi, but you're only allowed to bring 5 items. What are those 5 items?
5. Okay. I would bring a book. I would bring. Wait, does it have like? Can I bring a radio? Like music? Do they have like?
We'll
you know,
allow it.
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
all
we'll
right.
allow that.
radio.
There's
Cell
ample.
phone,
There's
not a cell
ample
phone, but-
food on the island too, and water
Okay, all
and
right.
shelter.
I would probably bring a digital camera. Like these are not survival things, by the way. Like I don't know if you were going the survival
No,
route,
you're going to
but-
survive just fine. You're good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So I got 2 more. Probably like clothes, I guess.
Okay. Important.
And maybe like a coloring book or like a paint by number type of thing to like
Oh, I
keep
like
me busy.
those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. This one you may not have a good answer for, but Parker and I
Okay.
are obsessed with like I think financial literacy in young people is really important, hence my earlier
Mm-hmm.
question to you. And one thing that's really cool is the ability to use credit cards to help you with your travel. So I was going
Mm-hmm.
to ask you if you had a good tip or trick for using credit cards or some type
Yeah.
of travel hacks to help young people get started on their travel journeys.
Yeah. Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Sapphire Reserve. The annual fee is worth it. It's hefty, but it's worth it. Start off with a $95 one, and then you can go up to the reserved. But I started travel hacking last year, I want to say, when I learned that I could fly for free, essentially, with money I was already spending. And so getting a credit card at first is terrifying because everyone's like, oh my God, you're going to go into so much debt, credit card debt, cut up your credit cards, blah, blah, blah. But like getting these credit cards has been like the best thing for me in terms of traveling. I would say obviously use it responsibly, but and pay it off like once you hit a certain amount, give yourself a number like every $500, like just connect your account and just pay it instead of waiting till the end of the month when it's all built up, whatever. And then for these cards, you can transfer your points to partners. And so I would definitely recommend doing that, as well as like being loyal to 1 or 2 airlines or hotels. I think that like you start to build status, you get like upgraded randomly for literally spending money that you're already going to spend on these flights. I've gone on my fair share of Spirit airline flights and like still travel them. But, you know, when it comes to like travel hacking, definitely try to build some sort of like status with 1 or 2 airlines because it helps for sure.
I ain't no travel nomad. You will not find me on a Spirit airline flight. I'm just sorry. I'm like, I'll pay the extra $100 so I don't have to go through that. Literally,
Yeah,
I
your
refuse.
backpack, they'll charge you like $100 for it.
Yeah. Anyway, like it ends up being even anyway. I've heard very funny stories.
Yeah.
All right. But last question for you around the rapid fire. You said you had a book. We always ask for a book
Yes.
recommendation. What is your book
Awesome.
recommendation for Elevation Nation?
Okay, so I have it here. It is called Designing Your Life: How to Build a Well-Lived and Joyful Life. And no, I didn't pick this one up because my brand's called Lifestyle Redesign. But basically it is about this like concept called design thinking, which I had no idea about a couple weeks ago. And it's basically like thinking like a designer. So like they always have like a problem to solve, or like they see a solution with like these problems. And so when you think about that in your life, it's kind of like there's always going to be these problems that come up, and instead of looking at it as like pitying yourself basically, which is fine at some points, but it's like try to solve the problem as quickly as you can, or like get through it in some way or another, to kind of like get over that and continue with your life, because time's going to move whether you want it to or not. So that book is a big recommendation for anybody that is trying to like change their life at any point, or even if they feel super successful, just like looking at life differently. Even for me, like I've looked at life completely differently after reading this book, just because you don't really think about like your life and how you even got there, or how to like deal with certain problems until they come about. But I think that this book like gives you a lot of tips on that, as well as like looking at a majority of your life as just like a big opportunity. And saying yes to everything is like a big thing that I got from this book too. So yeah.
I think it's going to be my holiday break book that I'm going to download to my Kindle.
Yeah.
Because I love design thinking. It's what I do in my full 9-to-5 real job, working in UX and UI. So taking that to my life is really cool. And it's been on my list for a while. So you've inspired me. Thank you, Sam.
All right.
Cool.
Of course.
All right. Our final question here, our final segment. Every single elevator has something that we call your mental motto. We taught you about mental fortitude today and how important we think that is to being a fulfilled and successful young adult, which you obviously are. And so we want to ask you, Sam, what is your mental motto?
Okay, great question. I did write it down. Okay, so my mental motto is you have to do things you've never done to get to places you've never been. And like when I heard that, I heard this on a podcast a couple years ago, and I had to like search to find it because I knew I wanted to say it on here. It's like, literally, just think about it. Like if you don't do things that you've never done before, you're never going to get to places you've never been. So always saying yes to like every open door, even if you can't even see the opportunity that's there. Like say yes and see what happens, essentially is what the quote is. But always trying new things, always like putting yourself out there, getting into those rooms like we had talked about earlier. I think it's like super important to just like be saying yes and like getting out of your comfort zone.
I really like that mental model a lot.
So yeah,
it's so cool.
Thanks. I don't know who said it, but
that's okay. Whoever's out there in the universe, we're giving you pretend credit, but we're going to give credit to Sam.
Thanks.
Yeah, you should take the credit at this point.
Life is very interesting. Sam, you said like at the beginning, you were so multifaceted. I sometimes think about this, like if I had 10 lives to live, I would major in 10 different things in college. I would have 10 totally different career paths. Like to me, and so my mental motto is live curiously, don't curiously live. And it's like, if you approach life with such curiosity for all these amazing things that are out there, like I want to learn about musicals and cooking and like travel the world and try weird things and learn about UX. Like I want to just learn about everything there is in this world, because I think so many things are fascinating when you dive into them. And I think your mental motto is very similar to that. It's like you have no idea whether you're going to like something, hate something, learn something, meet someone. So just try it, do it.
Yeah.
That's what life's about.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. It's
a
great mental motto for Elevator 151. And I know I speak for Parker and Elevation Nation when I say I'm really excited to welcome you to our community and our crew. It's a pretty, dare I say, elite group of young adults that are doing amazing things. And we have a cool community and network we want to connect you with. And I know you certainly inspired me and Parker and hopefully some other young adults out there that maybe are going to reach out to you and ask for some tips and tricks and want to travel and learn more about your lifestyle. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to be able to, share my story and inspire people. That's what I love
our
to
pleasure.
do for sure.
Our pleasure. All
That's
right,
what it's all about.
Elevation Nation. Until next week. Peace.
Peace.
Sam.